Mistakes were made. Welcome back, everybody, to Just Weld and Fab, and I tell you what, I think I've learned a few lessons here. So, I was thinking about it, and I just, like usual, I shoot from the hip. I decided to change my mind. I think I'm going to go with factory style red or whatever it's on it. I'm going to paint both door panels. I'm going to paint the like kick panel section area, because this has the floor vents where they kind of pull out, and the dash pad. If all goes well, I'm going to recondition them, and I'm going to make them black, probably an ultra matte. I'm going to try me some ultra matte. I really like that stuff. Well, you can see the whole door panel. It's currently upside down the way you guys are seeing it, but it broke this corner off. Now what you see here is an attempt to weld it back together with a plastic welder, which is essentially nothing more than a soldering iron with a hole. Now I did use some of the welding rod that came with it, which is those strands of, I don't know what type of plastic they are. But I used that. I did a little bit of prep work, kind of worked it all down in there. It's all already hardened back up, but I should be able to sand all that. On the back side, I was worried about it breaking again, so I added in some of the repair mesh that is supplied with the kit, and I'll just clean this up a little bit, but that made it pretty good and strong. So this thing isn't totally done yet. If nothing else, it's going to act as an experimental piece to see what I can and can't do. Alright, so here's what's happening. When it fell off, of course it scuffed the paint, but I wasn't worried about that. I can fix that. But you can see how this thing's chunking out, and the more I mess with it, the more it just continues to crumble and fall apart. And I'm sure that has everything to do with the UV, or the sunlight. Same thing here in all these little detailed trim spots. The more I fool with them, the worse it gets. Now, yesterday when I was making an attempt to do that short strand fiberglass, it actually worked out really nice. I had a couple flaws like here, a couple pockets here, which they recommend just using like a filling putty or something like that to kind of fill in those imperfections. Alright, so we're going to try to smooth this out a little bit before I start that next process. Got a palm sander with 100 grit. I guess it'll be enough, I don't know. Anyway, I think it worked. I'll do a little hand sanding right there. Kind of cracked, but that'd be all right. We'll wipe that off and get started. What we have here is a very short amount of time for this resin to set up. So we are going to get started without a whole lot of explanation. Here is some fleece, just some regular fleece. We're going to see if we can make it work. You got to get going. Let's start getting that stuff on there. This is the first time for me trying to do this, so I don't know how well it's going to work, or at least this stuff. Wow, this stuff seems like it's setting up really fast. Probably put too much hardener in it, not knowing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I followed the instructions, but I didn't measure it, so I'm kind of mostly right. All right, start applying. Going to be a complete waste to start with. Waste of material. I don't think this is the step I was supposed to be using. I'll mix some more up. Keep at it, I guess. I'll get back with you. I'll just keep at it. Alright, lesson learned. So, I attempted to use fleece. Probably should have actually watched the video. The idea seemed simple. Smear it on, spread it on. What I did not account for was the amount of resin that I was going to need to soak all that up. So that turned out to be a bust. Now I have all this sticky resin goo on here that eventually I'm going to have to sand off. As expected, it's all over my hands. Should have wore gloves. I think what I'm going to do next is probably try to smear what I can that hasn't already solidified. And then I'm just going to go back to the fiberglass mat, which I have some left over. Probably not enough to do the project, but we'll see where we end up. So, just for the record, I failed. You know, you live, you learn, you try things, and it is what it is, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. This is not a how-to video. If it's anything, it's how not to do something. And you just kind of got to go for it, and if it fails, it fails, and worst case, I got to go find me another used door panel, or I'll probably have to spend the money and buy something that's decent. But right now, my goal is to try to save this. Hopefully I don't have as much money in saving these as I would in just replacing them. But the lessons that I'll learn from that are worth more than what I would give, I guess, if you want to say that. But all right, here is the panel that I fiberglassed. It is all dry now. Needs all that excess trimmed off. And lots of sanding will need to be done on this to bring this back around. Along the way, here's what I believe I've learned. One, I probably put the mat on too thick. I went way too thick, way too fast. And I created a lot of air pockets. I used a lot more resin than I thought I would, and it became a little bit of a challenge to recreate these dimensional spots, which actually give it some of its design. I think it's going to be fine. I think what I'll end up having to do after I sand all this down is I'll probably go back with maybe some short strand, maybe just some Bondo. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm going to have some stuff to fix. As I said, mistakes were made, lessons were learned. Let me show you what just happened. See those pieces? Yeah. They used to be a part of this panel, but not really. In fact, the panel is now worse off. Maybe it was the paint. It didn't adhere to that, didn't like it. Whatever the case was, it didn't take. Good news is it all came off. So now I'm going to sand it all down, rough it all back up, and then I think I'll start the short strand repair, because it's the only thing it seemed to do. Oh, well, never mind. Looks like most of it peeled off too, so I don't know whether to try it again. Try it all again and only to watch it fail again. But Bondo's not going to work. The cost of a panel is higher than I want to pay. I don't think paint's going to be enough. I don't know. I'm going to think on it, and then I'm going to go from there. With an update. Wasn't able to get all of it off there, but I got a lot of it off there. I'm going to finish cleaning this thing off. I think I'm going to try to wipe it down with something. I'll let that dry, and I'll think about it overnight. And maybe I can come up with a better plan to salvage this door panel. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Here's the door panel. Pretty well cleaned off, mostly sanded. At least as good as it was. Blowing off of it. I wiped it down with some mineral spirits. That's flashing off now. I kind of assisted it along, and I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to handle this thing. But looking better. And it is what it is. It's either going to work or it's not. But I'm learning a lot as I go, and I got to let this set up for at least an hour before I can do anything. It is still raining, so can't do anything outside. Maybe I'll go take the other door panel. Alright, I'm losing my light once again. I'm going to attempt to try to get this door panel the rest of the way off. We'll see how it goes. I got it. Just about got it. Sleep. I feel a little bit better about my bad decisions and things that went wrong. So I've done the right thing and went at it again. Probably to fail again. That's just the way it goes. I did kind of research it a little bit and kind of seen what some other folks were doing, but no one really addressed the issue that I have, and that's with the pitting and the plastic. So I'm just trying to make that look better with I went back to the fiberglass short strand. It's going to be way too much trouble to get into super detailed edges and crevices of that door panel, so I'm just going to kind of block some of it out and fill some of it in, and it'll just look a little different than a lot of the others. But the goal is just to make it look better. So anyway, let me try to handle this one slightly different. I just went ahead and went to sanding on it, and I learned something. So all that coarse deterioration that was on top, most of that sanded off. I used some 150 grit, took it right off. I'm feeling a lot better about it. You can still see it, but it's nothing like what it was. You can still see some heavier remnants of it right here. I think I'll go over that a little bit more with the grinder, the DA grinder, and I'm pretty happy with that so far. I wish I'd have figured that out before. Might have been able to take care of that with some high fill primer or something. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. So I'm going to sand on that a little bit more, try to get some more of that out of there, and then I'm going to coat it just like I did that one, and then sand the whole thing again. Alright, as you can hear, it's still raining. That is drying. I just got done putting my first coat of that short strand on there. There's going to be lots of sanding involved. This door panel wasn't near as bad as the other one, so the repair should be a little easier. I'm not wasting all that extra time by trying to do paint and some other stuff. The other door panel was an experiment. I think I've got it tuned in a little bit more on this, but there's going to be lots of sanding and another coat at a minimum of that short strand fiberglass, which is probably about all that I have. But hopefully that will be it. Just applied another coat of that short strand. Hopefully there's enough there that when I sand it off, that original design there will be pretty much gone. I will have to hand finesse it a little bit, filled in some light craters. I think it's going to sand off okay. I don't know if I'm going to use some like high build primer and then block that off. I don't know. And fiberglass, pretty happy with it. Felt like it was good enough that I could go back and do some Bondo work and kind of tidy up all the little stuff. So that's what I'm going to show you now. It's kind of sloppy. I know most of it's getting sanded off. As long as it fills in the majority of the holes, I'll be pretty happy. Building a show truck, as I've said before, we're just trying to make this thing look better than what it is. Excuse me, better than it was. That is where we are at. We got some Bondo on there. I'm going to let that set up for a little bit. I'm going to come back and sand it. Same thing here. I'm going to come back after it dries, sand it down really good. Hopefully I don't have to do more than the one coat, as I'm just trying to fill in small holes and imperfections. So now we're going to go back out to the cab where I had wire wheeled all those spots. Well, I never did get paint on them, and it's rained, and the one window was down, the one window's still not in it. It's got water standing in it again, so I'm going to take the air gun out there. I'm going to blow all of it out, wipe out the areas that need attention. I'm going to go ahead and try to sand those spots that I wire wheeled, wipe those all down, get some paint on them tonight. Where we left off, but this time we got to get the water out of it. You see where I wire wheeled it, it already flash rust. Kind of expected that, but I'll clean all that up. First we got to get this water out of here. Alright, hit this with some 100 grit. Alright, I'm going to finish this up and move on to the next step. Alright, last coat of paint on there. Going to let that dry. On to the next step, back to the door panels. We're back. Both panels are sanded down. I don't expect them to come out perfect, just better. Pretty happy with it so far. Here's the other one. It's currently drying. This one is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and start hitting it with some paint. We're trying a couple of things. Here's the door panel. It's not great. That's okay. I think I've got a plan. There's some splotches on it. I'm using this hammered paint from Rust-Oleum, trying to hide some of the imperfections, which is what it says it will do. So I'm hoping if I put it on thick enough in the areas where the texture is not so great, that it will hide a lot of the imperfections. And then I'm going to go back over it with some ultra matte, and I think that will blend in okay. But that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to accomplish tonight. At least get the door panels painted up. They'll have all night to cure. I did get the floor finished up inside the truck cab, so that'll be ready to go on next week's video. You will probably see that, the sound deadening mat, the carpet install, and possibly the seat. Then maybe I'll get the door panels in and we'll start making the inside of the truck look like the inside of a truck again. And I have not forgotten about that leaf spring that I've yacked about for several weeks. I've still got to get that done. I have it prepped. I've got a plan. I'm going to make it work. And hopefully here soon we'll get to see this thing on the road. Looking forward to it. But anyway, that is going to be it for this week's video. Sorry I missed out last week. I've already got stuff lined up for next week and the week following. I hope you guys like it. Please feel free to comment. I do like comments, so if there's any suggestions or techniques that you guys have used to get a finish that you like, feel free to drop it down in the comments. I do look at that stuff. I've taken some advice from that stuff. Be sure to follow, subscribe. That's a big thing. All those things help me out and help the channel out, and helps me keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully inspiring you guys to get out there and work on your projects. So anyway, that will be it for this week's video of Just Weld and Fab. See you next week. Take care, everybody.